My name is Salil Tripathi. I am here in London speaking with Priya Pillai, who is a campaigner at Greenpeace in India. And Priya, of course, has come into some notoriety or fame, depending on your politics recently, because she was to come here to London and speak to the All-Party Parliamentary Group about the Mahan project, which is a coal project in India. And she was prevented from coming. She filed a lawsuit in the Delhi High Court and she won the case and she can travel freely, which is a wonderful victory both in the context of civil liberties in the Indian person's right to travel where he or she chooses to do so. So Priya, first of all, congratulations. What is so important about Mahan, given that India needs energy, given that India has a development imperative and India wants to prosper?
So, Mahan is situated in Singrauli district of Madhya Pradesh, which is one of the districts of India which produces 10% of the total coal-based energy of the country.
Right.
This one district basically has 11 mines and 9 thermal power plants, and the government has decided that they are going to double the energy production in the region. This region historically has been a region where there has been lots of forests. And now what is left of all those forests is just 1/3 of the original forest. And this is an entire stretch of forest. It's called, there's a species called sal, and this is that species. So these are the oldest sal forests of Asia, in fact. And there has been a mine that was proposed. It's a joint venture of SR, which is incidentally registered in London.
And which is one of India's largest business groups, yes.
Yes, it is. The owner is definitely Indian, but has a registered office in London. And until mid last year, SR was enlisted in the London Stock Exchange. So this proposed mine is a joint venture of SR and Hindalco. Hindalco belongs to the Aditya Birla Group. So the mine was proposed in the Mahan forest. Now the issue there is that the mine only will give you coal worth 14 years. And this is going to destroy livelihoods. It's going to displace people. There are 54 villages in Mahan forest who are dependent on these forests. And once the mine comes, their livelihoods are going to be totally wiped out. There are other biodiversity angles also to this whole thing. It is a biodiverse rich forest. So because of all of this, the Ministry of Environment and Forests in India had done a classification and had placed the Mahan forest as a no-go zone, as in, no mining whatsoever should happen in this zone. But this was during the time when Jairam Ramesh was the environment minister.
In the earlier government, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and the Forest Advisory Committee had refused to give clearance to it. But later on, a series of letters were written, by Shashi Ruya of the SR group and Aditya Birla of the Hindalco group to the Prime Minister's office. And the consent that has to be taken from indigenous communities has not been taken in that region. And so we've been stopping that mine, actually. So we do have support from lots of people's movement groups. Jan Sangharsh Morcha, for one, has been quite supportive of this fight. It's a group of, it's a network of people's movements in Madhya Pradesh. Apart from this, we've also had support from Campaign for Survival and Dignity. Later, NAPM and other groups came in to support us. So we have a lot of support from other, groups and movements across the country, actually.
Because the criticism of your campaign has been that, you are a bunch of foreigners, not you personally, but Greenpeace being an international organization, interfering with India's development plans and making it harder for India to prosper.
That's laughable because Greenpeace India is registered in India.
Right.
Has a registered office in Chennai. It has an Indian board. It raises 74% of its money from Indian population.
Right.
And has majority, I think more than 95% of the employees of Greenpeace India are Indian. So how do you say that, we are a foreign organization.
Right.
That's laughable. Even if I, for a moment, agree with the whole thing that yes, you're foreign, what I don't understand is human rights violations, and environmental violations don't know, geographical boundaries. Human rights defenders, whether it's human rights defenders or environmental activists, have a right to, work beyond geographical boundaries in this world. And today, we are talking about a globalized world. Everybody is pushing globalization. We want markets to be open, all of this. So the only thing that you don't want is, human rights violations and activists talking about violations. Those things should not go beyond this country.
So what did you feel about the reaction? Immigration authorities didn't let you leave India, but at that time
Yeah.
you had national networks in India, television calling your actions anti-national, and you had a lot of noise on Twitter and elsewhere saying that of course you should not be allowed to speak and commit anti-national acts. What happened? I mean, why this backlash?
My whole issue is who defines national interest in this country? We are a democracy. Here you have a right to have a dissenting opinion. I may not agree with what the government says, its idea of development or its idea of growth or its idea of how tribals should live in this country. I may have a different opinion about all of this, but as long as I am propagating my opinion peacefully and I am working well within the limits of the law of the land, nobody in a democracy has the right to stifle my voice or muzzle my voice. So, and just because I have an opinion that does not coincide with the opinion of the government, I cannot be branded anti-national. This is exactly what the court said. This is exactly what the High Court said. The High Court said that, people may have different opinions in this country. If you look at it, the present government in India came into power with only 31% of the total votes of the country.
Yes.
So the rest of the people in this country did not agree with their ideas, their policies, or whatever their vision for this country. But does that make the rest of them all anti-national? No.
Right.
Now that the court has decided in my favor, does that make the court anti-national? I think the people who are standing up with corporates are the ones who are anti-nationals because they are not bothered about citizens of this country. They are not bothered about the marginalized communities like tribals and Dalits of this country.
Now, when you look ahead and the changes that are now being proposed in the Land Acquisition Act, do you think your job has become much harder?
See, I think that this government is a government that tries to rule the country with bans and ordinances. This is what we are seeing. And all these bans and these ordinances somewhere are trying to either reinforce communalism or or backwardness or regressive thought processes, or they are trying to facilitate corporate takeover of resources of this country. Both of which are totally unacceptable. But there is a difference in terms of aggressiveness. There is a difference in terms of arrogance. There's a difference in terms of blatantly stopping people from, speaking out, traveling, voicing their opinion, which is totally unacceptable.
Right.
See, our whole thinking is that when corporates come into this country, they have to follow the law of the land and respect the opinion of the people.
Right.
You just cannot use this draconian law to where the government just acquires land and gives it to corporates. The people whose resources are at stake have to have a say in it. Similarly, in forest land, forest communities are the people who, historically had a right. They are the ones who live off those forests. You are taking away their resources. You should talk to them. They should give a consent. So right now, the whole thing is, the understanding is that the state has, the eminent domain, as the eminent domain has a right to give away anything that they want. No, it has to be the other way around. If I have a pencil and you want it, I am the more powerful person. If I say I don't want to give it to you, you have to accept that I don't want to give it to you. So the whole issue is you follow, and there are laws in place. The Forest Rights Act lays down that if you have to divert forest land for non-forest use, please take consent from communities. And this is not just in India.
No, absolutely, yeah. Thank you very much indeed, Priya.